Okay, I did something cringy, but it worked. I went to 20 different businesses last week and marketing my notary business, and y'all, I booked my first appointment. And that's not even the wildest part. Let me tell you everything. Hi friends, welcome back to Faith and Practical Living with Janice. If you missed my first video, I shared how I was going on my first day of direct marketing. And in this video, I'm going to tell you the results of what happened from it all. What worked, what didn't, and the unexpected blessing that happened from it. So the day started collecting all of my materials. I collected my business card, my stamp, my journal, but I felt like something was missing. I needed something else to make like an icebreaker, to give me purpose of visiting the business. So I came up with this idea. I went to the dollar store and I picked up these candies. Sorry, bag's broken. Lifesaver hard candy. They are individually wrapped. And so what I did is after I picked that up, I also picked up a stapler. And then what I did is then I took my business card and the individually wrapped candy and I just stapled it right there, just the little edge of the plastic, and I stapled it right on the card just like that. And then I would bring 2 or 3 other cards with me, and this is all I was bringing to the doors with me. This little lifesaver is what gave me courage. This little lifesaver was the whole reason I was going to go in there, to take them a candy, okay? So I go with my little business cards and then I start driving down the street and I literally start going in every business that I feel may need my services, like medical, insurance, Spanish, like ethnic stores, especially since I'm bilingual, English and Spanish. I definitely wanted to hit the Spanish market. So any stores that seemed ethnically related, where I felt like there was a high Spanish population going to, I definitely stopped there. So one of them was like a Spanish grocery store. Another one was a cell phone store that was, you could tell that it was mostly Spanish people that went there, and different things like that. I did not go to any real estate or title offices because I don't have my loan signing certification yet, but believe me not, that's on my list as soon as I can, but we did not go to any of those yet. Let me tell you all the numbers. I went to 20 locations, probably within a couple of miles of my home. Like I said, I just pulled out of my house, went on the main road, and I pretended I was a UPS driver. I just went down the road and turned right at every spot I felt, and then on my way back, I did the same thing. So on my way out, I started driving, and so I went to 20 different locations. Out of those 20 different locations, that means that I stopped at a place, my car parked, and I got out and walked to the door. That was 20 places. Out of those 20 places, I was able to speak to 15, because 5 were closed. They didn't have anybody inside. So I spoke to 15 people, and when I mean speak, I just introduced myself, I handed them my business card, and I said my very, very cringy tagline for the day. I was like, let me be your lifesaver for any notary needs you might need. And it was super cringy. I knew it was cringy. It was purposely cringy. Got a lot of smiles, and then they're gonna remember me. They're gonna remember this lady that walked in talking about being a lifesaver and giving her candy out of nowhere. So that's the purpose of it, to be memorable, to be different. And so that's all I did with, out of those 15 places that I actually got to see people, 10 got that treatment. Well, out of those 15, 10 I just introduced myself briefly and gave them my business card and said my tagline. And then the other 5, I actually got to have a little bit of a deeper conversation. They were more open. They looked more interested in to see what I was doing, why I was there, where did I come from. And so that opened up to more conversation. One of them being, first of all, it was one of the stores was somebody that I knew from church. So that was one of the first places I stopped at, which happens to be one of the closest places to my home. And from there, she was very nice, and she displayed my business cards and let me know that, of course, anybody that comes in, she'll definitely let them know if they need those services. But she then quickly referred me to her mom's store. Her mom owns another store, and so I went over there, which was a pawn shop. So those of you that are in the notary business, so I went to the pawn shop, and I was talking to her, and she was like, absolutely, I get it. Every once in a while, it's not like she gets them every day or anything like that, but every once in a while, she does get somebody that goes in there asking her if she does notary work. And so she's like, yeah, I'll definitely keep your information, especially being bilingual, because she was Hispanic as well. I'll definitely keep your information and forward it to anybody that's looking for it. So that was 2. And then I went to another Spanish grocery store, and it was like a local produce store. And so I spoke to her. I had visited there before to pick up produce, and so I explained who I am. She was more than happy to display my business cards, and while I was there, I also did a little grocery shopping to support. And so we had the grocery store, the pawn shop, the daughter's store, and then there was another one. There was 2 more. I wrote them down. I can't remember the 4th one right now. But then the 5th one was really interesting. That one I spent probably about 30 minutes there. It was a financial advisor's office, and I actually got to talk to the owner of the branch, and she was just so delighted to speak to me. She was just she's a salesperson, in the service industry herself, having her own branch, owning her own branch. So she's very familiar of having to network and having to connect with other people. And she knows how scary door knocking is for a lot of people. And so she was definitely very impressed and very complimentary on my drive to go out knocking on doors. She just wanted to know more about me, when did I move into the area. I live in a small town, so most people have been here for a long time. And so most people know each other. So once a stranger like me comes around, they definitely want to know, when did you get here? Where did you come from? Why did you move here? So we were having all those awesome conversations. So it was really, really great. Like I said, she doesn't use notary services all the time, but she does use it sometimes. And if the need comes up, she's definitely got me in mind. And then, so those were the 5. I know I forgot one. I can't remember right now. But I did write them down because I do plan on following up with those warmer leads next week. So, but I'll tell you what, where the surprise came. Like I said, I talked to 15 people. Only 5 appeared interested. The other 10, not so much. They took my card, but it didn't seem like there was much interest there. But of course, always professional, still gave rebuttals. Like one place, she's like, oh yeah, I'm a notary. And I'm like, oh, that's great. I'm like, but if you ever need somebody that speaks Spanish, because she didn't speak Spanish, Or if you need somebody to go out to their location, if they can't come to you, then you're more than welcome to use me for those services. And she was like, oh, okay, So there's those kind of rebuttals. People are right away, especially places that have notaries, they're going to be like, oh no, we have our own. Oh, I remember now the fourth one. The fourth one was a bank. I went to a local credit union, and of course, they have their own notaries there, but nobody speaks Spanish, and nobody goes out of the branch. And so they were very happy to receive my card. Even said, oh, wow, great. We don't have anybody that speaks Spanish on staff. We'll definitely keep your card. That came from his mouth, not mine. So, that was the fourth one. But anyways, so out of those 15, 10, I didn't really feel like they were very warm leads, but I'm still going to give them my good service, give them my card, and go on my way. Well, out of those 10, the next day, or 2 days later, I get a phone call, and it was the sister of one of the business owners that I had visited. And so you understand why it makes it more wild, is that he's a Spanish store, first of all, so he speaks Spanish, and they have a notary on staff, a Spanish notary. Okay? So he's the owner of the store, he has a Spanish notary on staff, but he still gave my card to his sister, which ended up calling me 2 days later, and basically booked my first appointment. She needed 3 letters to be notarized. And then in our conversation, because I asked her, I'm like, well, how did you hear from me? And that's when she told me about her brother and his store. And she explained to me how she was, she's retired now, and how she was always a businesswoman, and she's always helped, all her family build their businesses. And, unfortunately now everybody's busy with their own lives, running their own businesses, and they don't really have time for her. And then she goes on to ask me if I do, like notarizing immigration papers and, translating documents and things like that. And I told her absolutely. And then that's when she was like, well, I would love to help you and introduce you to the community. She's like, I know a lot of people that need translation services and notary services, but they work all day until about 7 o'clock in the evening, and we can't find anybody to help them in the evening hours when they're off work. Are you available? And I'm like, absolutely. And so she's like, well, if you like, I can, we can plan a day to go to the local communities, and I can go around and introduce you, and you can go hand out your business cards. And I'm like, done deal. So on the day of our appointment that I'm supposed to do the job for her, we're going to go out, and she's going to introduce me to the community. So I will definitely keep you posted on that. That was wild. I have to say, honestly, some of my biggest blessings have come from older people. I always joke I have 2 big blessings. I have the gift of parking and the gift of grandparent collection. I have very good blessings when it comes to parking. I just believe it, and I know it, and usually 9 out of 10 times I'm right in the front, which I love. And the grandparents, unfortunately I did not have the blessing of having grandparents as I grew up, but as I've gotten older, I'm like a grandparent magnet. They just attract me, and I've always been attracted to them. My high school years, every summer I would volunteer at the nursing homes. I've always had a very soft heart for the elderly, And I don't know, I guess they know it. I guess it comes out, but they gravitate everywhere I live. They just adopt me and I adopt them. Just like here, I have my next door neighbor, Miss Mary. She's my adopted grandma, mom, whatever you want to call her. She's amazing. She's in her late 70s. You know, we share meals together. Sometimes she'll come over, watch a show with me. I'll go over, watch. Well, I don't go over, watch a show with her. Honestly, she smokes inside, so I can't do it. And I feel like this lady is kind of like that. That it might be another grandparent I'll be collecting, and I'm just so thrilled with it. And at church too, it's just everywhere. That was my first day of direct marketing. And if you're starting your own business, this is my encouragement. Don't wait to feel ready. Just start. Be cringy, be kind, be bold, but most of all, be faithful. I'll keep you posted on how my first appointment went and what doors God continues to open. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and let me know if you're building something new too. Let's do this together. From faith to action, one baby step at a time. Catch part 1 if you haven't seen it yet. I'll see you next time on Faith and Practical Living with Janice. Bye!